Just show me a raise of hands if you're ready for H-1Bs today. You ready? I know you are, huh? You guys love these things. I do too. I just wish there was more of them, you know? That's all. A specialty worker. You're all special here. Isn't everyone special? We're all special, right? But for immigration purposes, some are more special than others. Okay? For H-1B purposes, a specialty worker is somebody who where their job requires at least a bachelor's degree in a specialized field. Not just any bachelor's degree, but in the field that is special. Okay? The candidate has the degree, so that's the other requirement, right? Not just that the job requires it, but that the candidate has that degree or the equivalent. That's something we'll talk about. Any nationality can get H-1B. In fact, there's 2 nationalities that get a special H-1B, even more special, because there's no visa. Well, there's a less rigid allotment number quota for visas. Who are those 2 countries? Our friends? Chile and Singapore. And Singapore's so close. Those guys, don't we just love Singapore? I came there on the way into this country, and I thought, you know, they're clever people. But Chile, I don't know how they got on there. I know a lot of people from Chile, but you know, I'm not sure why. I know Singapore, I understand. You know what I mean? They're clever. 6-year limit, generally, on H-1B status. There are exceptions for people who are in the green card process for more than a year, or if their I-140 is approved. Those can get extensions beyond 6 years. Otherwise, if you get to the end of your 6 years, you're stuck. That person's got to go home. That person needs to go home for at least a year and then come back at it for an H-1B. If they qualify for some other visa, in the meantime, maybe you can change their status and avoid the 6-year problem. But generally speaking, they're in a pickle. Pickle is a cricket term, isn't it? Is that cricket? Did they say that? That's a baseball term in U.S. Ah, okay. Lost in translation, people. Do you know what I mean? There has to be a labor condition application. This is a form filed with the Department of Labor. It's not labor certification application, which is the green card path. That's a different road. This is labor condition application. But it's a similar application in that it tells the government, the Department of Labor, that you will pay the person a fair wage for that work, that you will not abuse them in any ways, and we'll cover a little bit more about this later. That labor condition application has to be maintained at the employer's office, usually their corporate office in the U.S., or where the employee is working. And there's a record of it, so that they call it a public access file, which means that if I'm a U.S. worker and I want to know what that Indian brother's getting paid next to me, who's on an H-1B in my office, I can go to I can go to my HR department and look at the public access file and see what the job offer said and what is in this labor condition application. I don't know whoever does that, because most people don't know even to do that, but it could happen. So this H-1B requires that you apply at the USCIS to get a petition approval before you can apply for the visa. The B1, did you need to get any prior approval from CIS? No, you can just apply at embassy. H-1B, you must get prior approval from USCIS, then only when you have the petition approval in your hand, you can go down to the consulate and get a US visa stamp for H-1B. Hey, what do you call the employer? They're also the petitioner. What's the employee? Beneficiary. Man, you guys are smart. You've done a few of these, I assume. I don't know. Most of you. H-1B dependents. Who are these people?
The spouse.
The spouse, children. Children that are 35 years old with beards? No. Okay. Under 21 with beard is okay. Right? H-4 visa is the dependent class. Right? Wife, son, daughter, under 21 children, they're okay. Now, if they get to U.S. and they say, I want to work at Pizza Hut because that looks like fun, do they get to go work? No, there's no work authorization for H-4 visa holders. Okay, the job must be a specialty occupation. What's that mean again? Requires a specialty bachelor's degree, a degree in a field that is special. Okay, what's special? Again, it depends on the job. Is the job special? Does it require a degree? Okay, then it's special. All right, there's definitely room for interpretation here about what is a specialty occupation. Okay, some jobs that I've done for people get challenged by immigration, saying that job doesn't require a bachelor's degree. Has anyone ever seen that? You never get that. Wow, you guys are good, man. All legitimate companies here, all legitimate jobs and qualified people, but every now and then you'll run into somebody whose job maybe sounds a little suspicious to immigration, whose job isn't really clearly defined, or maybe it looks like someone who has less than bachelor's degree could do that job. I'll give you an example. One is like network technician or something like that. If you say the job title is network technician, immigration will say, you know, that doesn't sound like a special job to me. That sounds like some two-year person with MCSE could do that. I don't need a bachelor's degree for this job here, probably. Tell me why a bachelor's degree is required. And when this gets challenged, you either show typically that it is the employer's requirement that their employees in that job have bachelor's degree only. Okay, so you could show it by saying, look, every network technician in our company has bachelor's degree. Here is Sidhu. Here is, Bina. This is someone else over here. Here's their degree. Here's their resume. It shows they also are a technician. And this is how I document sometimes that, you see, it's the company's preference only that they hire bachelor's degree. For them, this job is special. And that can sometimes work. The other way is that you show that it is the industry standard. So you say, for network technician, industry standard is bachelor's degree. Look at all these jobs from Monster.com. Look at all these sample job offers I see from companies all over the US saying that bachelor's degree is required for the same kind of job. These are, again, tricks to show the government that it's a special job, if it doesn't look special. But remember, everyone's special, really. You know what I mean? Deep down. Again, a bona fide, remember we talked about what bona fide means. What does that mean?
An authentic.
Authentic, original, good, genuine. A bona fide job offer is there, providing prevailing wage and working conditions. Consulting companies, okay? This is something, how many work for consulting companies? Contract workers sending H-1B people? Nobody? You're all product companies mostly?
Service company.
Service sometimes? Okay. Well, in some cases, if you're sending consultants, you would need to show some of these things. And I do this for a number of employers. That there's a contract between the employee and the employer. Next, that there's a contract between the employer and the client where your employee is going to go. And then finally, that there may be a work order or something in place that invites that individual worker, says they're going to get paid X amount under this contract, and it shows they'll be there on an assignment for X amount of time. For H-1B purposes, these are not under regulation required, but the government, to prove a bona fide job exists, will sometimes ask you to provide this kind of documentation. I usually provide it in advance. Tell the employer, look, you must give me these things because now we will avoid wasting time with RFEs. What's an RFE? That's the enemy, right? That's Darth Vader. Who's Darth Vader? That's the guy in Star Wars. He's the bad guy. That's like the devil, right? That's the bad guy. Forget it, RFEs.